This video is for those of you that want to follow along colorizing a drawing, mouse click by mouse click. Now you're free at any time to customize the car any way that you want to do different, but some people enjoy being able to follow along at every step. So let's go ahead and first of all just take care of a couple of things. I'm going to come up into the image and go to mode and make sure that it's not indexed or just straight black and white. We want to be sure that it's RGB, which gives us millions of colors to choose from. So with that accomplished, let's go ahead and add another layer over here. I'm going to name this layer white background. Oops, there we go. And click OK, and then I'm going to move it down so that the car's on top and the white background's down below. I'm going to come up to this layer, which by default is labeled background, right click on it, edit its attributes, and just call it car. Now if I do any drawing at all, you can see that it is on the car layer. If I turn off the white background, it's still there. Turn off its visibility, that is. And if I switch to the white background, we have the same effect, but it's only drawn on the white background. So you need to be careful to make sure that the work that you're doing is on the active layer. We'll just undo that, and we'll go ahead and begin. Now, part of what makes this one just a little bit tricky is that there's some breaks along here. So I'm going to make sure that I'm drawing on the car layer. I'm going to grab the pencil tool, which is just another version of the paintbrush, really, and just sort of draw along here. There's a spot right there. And the reason I'm doing that is so I can use the fuzzy select tool. So let's just go ahead and test it. Nope, see it? See how it jumped all around? So we'll just click down here for the time being. We'll come back into here to our, oops. So we'll do a little more investigating here by zooming in and looking for where the possible break could be. To be honest, I'm not sure. Let's try that one more time. Well, it did select inside here, but it also selected a whole bunch of other places. Oh, I know what it is. I have the threshold turned way up, so it's jumping outside. So we'll turn the threshold way down. We'll just click someplace, and now we'll click back inside there. And yes, that particular region is watertight. So let's work on this back seat here by doing the same thing. Grab a pencil tool, make sure that I'm drawing on the car layer. And nothing's happening. Now the reason nothing is happening is because I forgot to deselect this area over here. This is probably the biggest tip I'm going to give you during this entire course. And that is, if something is not happening on the screen when you expect it to happen, more than likely the reason is that you have something selected someplace else in the drawing. So if we just come up here, instead of looking all over for it, go to select and choose none. Now we should be able to use our pencil tool and draw across. There we go. And I think that looks good. This is the back of the, I'm not exactly sure what part of that is the back seat or the back of the car. That's the back of the windshield. Oh, there's a little spot right there in the door frame. And you can notice, because we're zoomed in so much, this little jaggedness, but you can see that apparent everywhere. And because I'm using the pencil tool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo it here. Instead, I'm going to go to the paintbrush tool, choose a brush that's a little bit fuzzy, so when you draw with it, you see you don't get a hard straight line. So let's just go ahead and do that. That accomplishes the same thing. There we go. And that is that it should make this region here watertight. So let's go ahead and just test it again. Yeah, there we go. That looks pretty good. So again, that's just a subtle difference between the tools. As long as you get it selected, that's good. What else have we got? Oh, there's a spot right there, that B pillar in the door. So again, we'll pick the paintbrush. And we'll, okay, again, see, it's not drawing. And that's again because I left something selected when I did that test. So there we go. And we better complete this here. Better complete that like so. And I'm sure I'm going to have to do some more of this, but let's see, there's a spot right in there that's going to give us a little bit of trouble. That's for the headlight. That's just an accent right there, and that's just fine. There's a little spot right there. And as long as there's a pixel there, it doesn't matter what color it is. It could actually be white, and it wouldn't matter. Fuzzy Select tool would honor that boundary because the threshold's set low, and a pixel's a pixel. It doesn't matter what color it is when it comes to selecting. So I think that's a pretty good start at this point. So I think now we're going to go ahead and start to actually do some coloring. So I'm going to begin by clicking on the foreground tool here, and that brings up this dialog box, which I'm probably just going to leave open. I think I'm just going to dock it right down here for the time being. And you have several different ways to select your colors here. Just depends upon which ones you like. I typically stick with this one. If I want a nice green, I can click up here and you see it changes the current color, and the old color is what it used to be. Hopefully that's self-explanatory. If I'm going to be using a lot of that green, I can click on this button and it just added it right there to that palette. And as the new one comes in, the old one gets pushed out down below here. This gives you a quick selection here of colors that you like. So let's see, what should we make the car? I think just a nice blue. So I'm going to come in here and I'll start about there. And then I can move these sliders here if I want to change it. You can also come into here and you can see where it's been identified, and you can move it around like that if you want. It just depends upon, whatever color. And you literally have like 16 million colors to choose from. So I like that one. So I'm just going to pop it in there. Notice up here it's now my foreground color. So if I start by using the Fuzzy Select tool to grab that door, I can now use what's called the Paint Bucket tool. And what that will do is that's going to fill in this entire selected area with the foreground color. Just like that. Now we don't have to do things one at a time. Remember that we can hold down the Shift key and pick some different areas here. So I'm going to pick the hood. Let's see. Yeah, I think I want that area too. Let's see, going around here. Don't want to get too aggressive. But I think, there's a spot on this top fender over here that I want to add. And so now I'm just going to use the Paint Bucket tool to click these areas. And that's, forgot this one right here. And that's a pretty good start. So I'll come up to Select, None. And at this point, I'm going to take and save my work. So I'll click Save As. I'm going to put it on my desktop, put it anywhere you want. It's going to be an XCF file. That means that it's a GIMP file. It's not something that you can post on Facebook yet. It's all the information that you need to save the picture as a JPEG or a TIFF so that you can put it on Facebook. But it's not there yet because this contains our layer information and stuff like that. So I'm just going to call it Automobile XCF on my desktop and go ahead and save it. And that way if the power goes out or if the computer crashes, we should be in pretty good shape. Let's do the top of the car next. I think I'm just going to pick this nice brown color right here. Notice my foreground color changed up there. Going to use the fuzzy select tool again. Hold down the shift key because I'm lazy. Oh, see, it got that part right inside there, didn't it? So I'm going to come up here, select none. I'm going to zoom in here. Yep, there's the break right there. So again, use my paintbrush tool. Oh, but it's brown, isn't it? Okay, and I want it to be black. So what I can do here is I'll just undo that. And if I click this button right here, it changes it to black and white. Now, that's pretty basic, but we'll be doing a lot of that later on when we're using masks. And by the way, you can change the foreground, the background color by clicking on those. So in any event, now that I've got that set to black, I'm just going to draw across there, and that's a connected stream of pixels. So now when I grab the fuzzy select, let's see if that was the only leak. Yes, it looks like it. So I'll zoom out here a little bit, hold down the shift key and add that at the top of the roof. And I think I got all the pieces that I want. So now again, I'm going to change the foreground color to the brown. Use the paint bucket tool to paint those areas. Okay, now let's talk about something different. By that I mean the metallic parts on the car. We could just go ahead and color them gray, or we could make it like a clown car, although you can see in my taste in colors it's not too far from that right now. But I'd like to have the colors have a little bit of texture, and that's what patterns are for. Now when you click on the patterns button, you get all these built-in images, and if you click on one and hold it down, it will show you. I mean, to me that looks like parched earth. Probably is a picture of that. And you can add these into GIMP and have as many different patterns as you want, but we're just going to work with the basic ones right now. So what I'm looking for is something that looks something like metallic. It's not bad. That's better. You can see it's tiled. It actually looks like marble. I think I'm going to go with this one. From a distance, I think it'll look a little bit better than just gray, but let's find out. So, again, I'm going to select the bumper, just for purposes of illustration here, because I know that that's a continuous area. And I'm going to click on the paint bucket tool to fill it in. And then down here under tool options, we can choose the foreground color, the background color, or pattern fill. So if we select that, and notice how there's a little outline around this right here, and it tells us that it's Marble 1. That just happens to be the name of it. Now when I click on the paint bucket tool, I get that effect. So let's zoom back out. Matter of fact, I'll press the 1 key to go to 100%. That is 100%. We'll just select none at this particular point, see what it looks like, and at least I like that a little bit better. So let's go in and do some more of that now. Next, I'll just go ahead and fill in some of the other metallic pieces. So using my fuzzy select tool, I'll select in here. And let's see, I'll try, hold down the shift key and select that chrome ring and this one here. Maybe the rear view mirror. holding down the control key. I'm not going to mess with chrome around the windows, but I'm going to add this back bumper. So now I will select my paint bucket tool, pattern fill. It's selected to pine for some reason, so I'm going to go back and select marble 1, and then come in and start to paint some of these areas. There we go. I might come in and fix that up just a little bit later on. Let's see, what else did I select? Oh, back here and back here. So press the 1 key to zoom back out, and I think we're in pretty good shape. So I'll choose select none, and next I'm going to come in and focus on the tires. Tires need to be black, so I use my paintbrush tool. Actually, I have to come in and select this area here first, and now I'll use my paint bucket. I'll change it back to foreground fill, which is black, and click right in there. That looks pretty good. Let's look at the next one here. Select paint bucket, and that looks fine. Now, I've worked with this area before here practicing, and it's a mess. So I'm going to try a little different approach, and that is I am going to add a 3rd layer, and I'm going to make it transparent, and I'm going to put it between the car and the white background. So you won't see any changes, because this is a layer of no pixels whatsoever. But remember, this area in here is transparent. If I turn off the white background, you can see through there. So I'm going to come into this layer, and I am going to just do a selection around this area here. Not closed until you click on that. Okay, now remember, I'm on this layer right here, which has nothing on it, and then I'm going to come to my paint bucket tool, go back to pattern fill, and I'm going to fill that in. And so what I've done is that you can see in the thumbnail up here that I've just added a little bit there, and if I come back and turn that on, you can see the difference. So let's go do that one more time. So again, I'm just going to turn this off for the sake of clarity. I'm going to come in here and just use the free select tool to just kind of draw around this area. Pause when you get the yellow dot, that means it's closed. You get the marching ants. Use the paint bucket tool, make sure that I'm in this transparent layer here. It's set to pattern fill, and there we go. I'll go ahead and turn that back on, select none, go to 100%, and we have a little bit more of a metallic look. I just noticed I missed a little bit of an area up here, so here's a teachable moment, as we say in the classroom. I'm going to use the fuzzy select tool. I need to change back to the car layer. I'm just going to grab that little spot right in there, and then I'm going to paint, and I need to change my color first, and I could go back into here and figure out which color it was, but it needs to be the same color as the doors. So I'm just going to choose the color of the door here. That changes the foreground color. Click on the paintbrush, and I'm going to make the paintbrush smaller by just holding down the left bracket and then painting in here. Now I'm not going to get it all because I didn't get every single pixel. If I want to fine tune that, I can go select none. I can zoom in, and then with my paintbrush, let's see, what do we got going here? Paintbrush, and just kind of clean it up like that. Now again, we're really zoomed in. If we go back to 100%, there, that looks better. And the little bit of white elements that you see along here, or grayscale elements, we could go in and correct if we want, but it's not really necessary in my opinion. Let's get the tail light next. Make sure that we're on the car layer. Click right inside there. We will change it to a nice bright red. And we'll just go ahead and paint. Use the paint bucket tool, or the fill bucket as they call it in GIMP. Press the 1 key. Select none. By the way, if you want to quickly select none, if we go back here, let's just go ahead and select an area here. If you want to just quickly deselect something, just click outside the canvas area here, and it will do the same thing. Because you can only have one thing selected at a time, but if you select off the object, it deselects everything for you. Let's see, what do we got left here? Oh, let's go ahead and do these seats. So we fixed those before, I believe. So I'll click on that. Let's see, let's zoom in here a little bit. I'll add that piece, and I'll add that piece. And that looks pretty good. And so now I'm going to go for something a little more wild. Go for the paint bucket tool, and I'm going to choose pattern fill. And I think I'm going to select this one right here. I'm not even sure what that is. They call it Parquet 1. Just something a little wild. We could do the stripes. You can do whatever you want. And let's see, what else can we do here rather quickly? We can do these. This is called C pillar, B pillar, and A pillar. I'm going to leave the A pillar alone. And actually, I think I'm going to add, I'm going to come in here, just grab that little piece right there and just make it a contrasting color. Let's say, let's see. Let's say something gray. Oh, I'm still stuck on pattern fill. Let's do an undo there. Change it to foreground fill, and there we go. And I'll just click out here, outside. Choose any select tool, click outside to quickly undo that. Let's do these pillars. So we've got those kind of reddish, that reddish upholstery. So just going to go ahead and make that the same gray. So let's select that pillar and this pillar area and that pillar area there. Oh, and this little piece down here. And then we'll use the paintbrush tool this time. I will bump up just to be quick here. So there we got that. And I'm liking this a lot. Oop, got to get the headlights. Select that inside area and that inside area, and we'll come into something yellow here. Let's see, let's just go to our stock colors. There we go, there's a nice yellow. So again, I'll just go ahead and paint those quickly. And what else is left that I can show you that would be something new? Well, let's put in a background now. That'll be good. So we need to find a background, and so I'm just going to go into Google search engine here and type in landscape. That'll probably be pretty dramatic. And then go to images, and let's see what we have here. I like that one. And actually I found this one earlier. So I'm going to view the image. It's pretty huge, so I'm going to right click and save the image as, put it on my desktop. You can see it's right there. And we'll go ahead and replace it. And then we're going to come back into GIMP here. Now let's see, I need to reopen my automobile. And then I'm going to come File, Open, and go to my desktop and open up that landscape. Now it gives me a little message here telling it that it's a little different color space, and that's just fine. So we're just going to go ahead and convert it. And then I'm going to go ahead and select all of that, and then I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come back into my car here, and then I'm going to paste it as a new layer. Whoops, looks like I have some stuff selected from before, so let's undo that there. Okay, now I'm going to zoom out to get a sense of my image here. I'm going to choose the scale tool, and I'm just going to go ahead and kind of freehand it up here. And let's see, we'll do that again. So I need to move that out of the way. And we'll try that. And then we're going to take, and right now it's called clipboard, so let's edit the layer attributes. We'll just call it landscape. And let's move that layer down. And now you're starting to get a sense probably of what's going on here. So now we'll come into the landscape here, and again we'll choose the scale tool, and we'll just kind of grab it here and try that. And that probably looks a little bit better. Now notice that the wheels and the grill and those parts there that I didn't paint, they're just a little bit messed up. So I'm going to move the landscape down one level, and I forgot to paint this part of the tire black, and I forgot to do the grill and those little lights here. So let's go in and take care of that little bit of work. So we'll go back to our car here. I'm going to turn off the landscape for now. I'm going to turn back on the white background. Use that tool, and then the paint bucket, the foreground color is already black, so I can take care of that. I'm going to choose a little more of a gray color here for the foreground and say OK, and then use my select tool to select these two areas, and now I'll hit them with the bucket fill tool. And I think I'd like to make these, I need to turn down the threshold here. It's jumping all over the place. Hold down the shift key. There we go. And I just kept adding to the selection until it got all of those pixels. So I'll just paint bucket that gray, and then do the same thing inside this light here. Oh, wrong tool there. There we go. I'll pick inside there, and I want that to also, well, let's see. Come into our palette here, and we'll just go with the same yellow. Actually, I'm going to just do that a little different way. I'm going to take the color select tool, or the color picker, choose that, and now I can use the paint bucket tool and fill that in. Let's go over and do the other side, and select inside. There we go. And we'll paint bucket that. And this part right here should probably be blue. So we'll select inside there, use the color picker, grab that, paint bucket, fill that, and now let's go back to 100% and turn the landscape layer back on and see if we're in good shape. Whoop, I've got these little spots here, I forgot to fill those in. So we'll go in and do that just a little different way because that part happens to be a little bit of a mess. I'm going to go to my transparent layer here and do those the same way that I did the wheels. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint this window trim around here white because right now you can see through it because there were never any pixels there. All we were seeing was the white background. So we'll just go ahead and turn that off. But again, we're working in the transparent layer. So I'm just going to switch those and then come in with my paintbrush tool. And it's kind of big. It's not working, so I must have something selected somewhere. There we go. Now it's working. And you can see that since it's behind the other layer, it's being pretty selective. Now I can bleed over into here if I want, but if I do, and as I do, I'll just go ahead and use the eraser tool to clean that up. Again, I'm not actually painting on the car, I'm painting behind it, but since there's no pixels there, it's showing through, which is what I want. Use the eraser tool to clean up that part here where it kind of just bled over. Go back to the paintbrush because I could have done a little better job in here. Again, you can quickly change the size of the brush with the bracket keys. See, left bracket, right bracket, and those are just to the right of the P key on your keyboard. So we'll come in here, need to make them smaller again. And let's see how that looks at 100%. And then we'll turn on the background. And that's looking pretty good. Looks like we have a little bit of A-pillar work to do in here. But I think we're just going to call that good at this point. Oh, looks like I didn't get all of the bumper over here as well. See, I missed something right there for some reason. But that's just part of getting it all squared away and the way that you want it. So I hope this has been helpful. I'll go ahead and finish this up and post the finished XCF file for you so that you can refer to that if you want and see my different layers and that sort of stuff. We can leave the white layer turned off. It's behind the landscape, so it's not going to show up anyways. See, there it is. Now it's gone. In any event, the last thing that really I guess we should talk about is I'm going to go ahead and save the XCF file. And now if you want to paste this on Facebook so all your friends can see just how talented you are, you want to go to Export. And again, it doesn't matter where you put it. And we need to select a file type. So we're going to select JPEG, the most common type. Notice how it changed the extension up here. And then we just go ahead and click Export. And here's where you can choose your quality. 90% will show it off in all its awesomeness. However, if you want a smaller web version, you can turn the quality down. And on a computer screen, it'll probably look pretty good just the same. So we'll go ahead and export it. And then if we come in to this PC and look on our desktop, we should have an automobile JPEG file right here. And even at 90%, it's not even 1/5 of a megabyte. So that's a very small file. And by the way, we can just go ahead and open that up in GIMP. And there's the finished JPEG, which looks just great. But if you take and start to zoom in, it gets pretty pixelated pretty fast because it's a much lower resolution. JPEG compresses all those different pixels so it'll look nice on a screen, but not so great if you get super close. So as I was saying just a bit earlier, I'll go ahead and finish this up. Oh, I just noticed I missed this little spot up here in the steering wheel. So I'll go ahead and fill all that in and add it to the assignment page so that you can download it and use it for a reference if you want. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've made your car your way and had some fun doing this.